starting about 5 minutes late. We got a text from one of the instructors about an update to the teams. So yes, but welcome to the Hack Challenge Kickoff. So today we'll be going over an overview, the challenges and how you can win, and then you'll see your team reveal. So you guys will get to meet your partners for the first time, maybe rearrange around the room, and get started on your team roadmap. Yeah, so let's all introduce ourselves who are here from AppDev, and then we can go into the sites. So hi, I'm Tisha. I'm one of the co-instructors for Introduction to Digital Product Design. I've also been on AppDev for 4 semesters as a designer.
Hi, I'm Noah. I'm one of the Intro to iOS instructors. This is my 3rd semester on the team. I'm a sophomore, and Tisha and I are going to be just organizing all of the Hack Challenge stuff.
Hi, I'm Justin. I'm also the iOS course instructor. This is my 2nd semester on AppDev. And I'll be teaching the course many years to come. So hopefully y'all in here who aren't taking iOS consider taking iOS in some future semesters.
Not him plugging.
Hey guys, I'm Shungo. I'm one of the backend co-instructors this semester. I am a junior studying CS, and it is my 3rd semester on AppDev.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. I'm one of the Android co-instructors. This is my 4th semester on AppDev. I'm a junior studying CS.
Okay, so this is how AppDev is structured. Just to introduce our team. So, going back, as you can see, we're a really loving community of people who love to build application, and we have 5 sub-teams: design, iOS, Android, backend, and marketing. And we also offer courses to the community. So there's a design course, iOS, Android, and backend as well. Within our team, to work on our products, which many of you guys have used, from Eatery to Ithaca Transit to also Pair or Volume, we have pods. Those represent our products. And then we have 1 to 2 members from each pod working on it. So that's the structure of our team. And then like we said, you guys are currently a student in one of our 4 courses: design, iOS, Android, and backend, which kind of leads you to why you're here today. So our team loves to build apps, and we want to make sure we share this knowledge with the Cornell community every semester, which is why for the final project, we want you guys to build with us. So these are a couple of the apps we've built on campus that many of you have used. You guys use Eatery to check what you want to eat on campus, Ithaca Transit for buzzes, Uplift for gyms, Course Grab. It's pre-enroll season. We're hoping that you guys will be using the app to get into the classes you want. There's also Volume for publications and Pair for meeting awesome people on campus. So let's go into overview.
So we're not doing a final exam, which hopefully you guys are going to prefer. But we're going to get into why we prefer that as instructors. And first of all, it's better for you guys. It's something you can use actually after this course. It's not just a number that's going to go on your transcript. We're actually going to be keeping notes about what you do. We'll keep your resume if you want to submit it. And if people ever ask AppDev for resumes, we will be sending you yours and your projects. And if you apply somewhere else, you can submit it yourself. Moreover, app development is not something you do by yourself, right? You're always working with other people because there's so much to do. You have to be collaborating. Your skills might not cover everything. So it's very much an interdisciplinary process. And so that's kind of where the Hack Challenge comes in. We're going to be grouping you with a bunch of students from other disciplines, from the other courses, so you can create a polished app. So summary, we have 2 weeks, obviously starting now. You're going to be paired with either an iOS or Android developer, a few backend developers, and almost every group has a designer. I believe there's 1 group without a designer. Which is way better than previous years. Normally we've had 1 to 2 designers or so in the entire program. But you're gonna be working with 4 to 6 people, and you're not doing this alone. You obviously have your groups, but then you also are gonna be assigned a front-end mentor and a back-end mentor. And then for those of you with designers, you will also have design mentors, and those will be assigned by tomorrow. And then another nice thing, just to get you a little bit more motivated, if you want to go the extra mile, get a nice app, you can publish it, but our incentivization is we're going to be giving prizes for if you do particularly well within a specific, area. So hopefully you filled out the team matching form. This was due last Friday, and pretty much everyone did. There were a few people who missed out. and we matched you randomly if you didn't. And we'll be coming back to this later. As Tisha said, we'll be revealing groups at the end of today. But next on the agenda, once you get your groups, you're going to have to fill out a roadmap form. And this is really just to get you kind of started thinking about what you're going to do, when you're going to work. It's just kind of something to let us sleep well at night, knowing that no one's going to be kind of screwed with a group that's not actually meeting. So hopefully if your group is here, you'll actually just fill this out tonight and you'll be done with it. But this is due tomorrow night, tomorrow at 11:59. After that, you're going to have to submit like a halfway checkpoint. So every group or every course is going to have a certain set of requirements that you're going to have to fulfill. They're pretty relaxed. You'll just submit it to CMS just to say, okay, we've actually started and we are on track. Before that, we do recommend that you meet with your mentors. So if you have any questions or any problems, that you can get that worked out, and then they can also give you advice potentially on how to do things for the next week. Finally, you're going to have a final submission because we're going to be doing this through GitHub because you guys are going to own everything. So we'll be giving you a form asking for a link, and you'll just be submitting it. We'll be grading it over the weekend. This is due Friday, May 6th. Sorry, I forgot to say midpoints are going to be due this Sunday, May 5th. And then lastly, the Monday after your final submissions are due, we are going to be kind of having a finale where we show off the great projects, we say who's getting what awards, and really you just get to see what great projects you and your classmates have made.
You also get your prizes that day.
And to reiterate, that is Monday, 7:30 or
8:30.
8:30 in Phillips 101. So this is just the timeline summarized again. So again, we have, right now you have to do the roadmap, the midpoint submission, final submission, and then the hack challenge finale. And all of these are mandatory. This is missing the roadmap, which is going to be due tomorrow night.
It's also on the end. Like you'll be posting
Yes.
on the end.
Hopefully you've seen the hack challenge description or write-up. That has everything that you could hope for there. And obviously if you have other questions, we'll be watching the ed. Here's a link to the ed. We'll post this again after this meeting. But that's, again, where you should be asking questions. So now we're going to get into your requirements for each course, because it is still technically, you have to fulfill a course's final project. It's not just an entire app. And if you're on 2 courses, we have placed you based off of one of them. Often it's back end and front end, and we put you on a front end role, but it might be more fluid.
So for those of you who are taking the iOS course, these are the requirements for your app. So we want you to use some form of layouting so we can actually see the thing you build. So that could be auto layout, which we taught at the beginning, or it could also be SnapKit, right, which we showed later on, or it could also be Swift UI, which Han has generously gave us lectures on. So any of those are fine. You can pick your favorite one, and if you have any questions deciding which one you want to use, you can come to office hours and ask us. As well as we also want you to use some form of these scroll views. So that could be a collection view, right, the ones with cells, or a table view, the ones with rows. Or if you choose to use Swift UIs, that's not a thing there, so you use lists in terms of different types of stacks. So again, right, we want to have some higher order type of view. And we also want you to have navigation. So that means, when I have one view, I click on it, I want to be able to interact across views. And finally, you have your backend members, make sure you don't leave them out. So make sure you also integrate some form of API. And usually that API is something that the backend member provides for you, but that could also be some form of external API, right? Say, you're making this weather app and you want to try to find the weather, you can integrate some weather API, right? So those are the main requirements. One disclaimer, so some members have one iOS member, some groups have 2 iOS members. So just to make things more chill, if you're the only iOS member on the team, we're going to be a bit more lax with the requirements, so don't worry. And if at any point you have any questions, just come to office hours and we're always glad to help. Okay?
Hi everyone. So these are some of the Android final requirements. So the first is you have to implement Recycle View with a custom adapter. And the second is integration with an API created by the backend and networking. So similar to iOS in that sense. And then the third is a use of a third-party API. And we talked about OKHTTP, or you can also use Moshi as well. And then the last is 3 fully functional screens, and activities or fragments are okay.
Backend, all right. We have 4 routes, at least 1 get, 1 post, and 1 delete. We have 2 tables with a relationship between them, right? We covered them in class. We have an API spec, so we're going to mandate that you actually type up what your API does. Also partially because a lot of groups have a lot of backend members this semester. It's important to document what you're actually doing. And then the last thing is we're going to have you implement either images, which is the lecture we're actually covering today after this event, and authentication, which was last week. Again, backend is very lax in that it's very flexible in what you do, but these are just the minimum requirements for your app. So hopefully you guys are excited.
Oh, also for the API stuff, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just like a document explaining each route, the type of request, and the body and response. So yeah, it's very simple.
Okay, for the designers in the room, we just want some low fidelity sketches of your design. We also want some medium value explorations. You don't really have to go as extreme as an assignment 5 with this. It can be 1 or 2. And then high fidelity prototype in Figma. Your developers will love you for this one. And then last but not least, a UI design kit system in Figma. This will be really helpful for if you're making a case study about your Hack Challenge project because you are building an app from scratch.
So again, we're gonna have a midpoint check or a midpoint submission for a checkpoint, which is just saying, am I about halfway to getting to my goals? And we have very specific requirements for those in the Hack Challenge write-up. And then of course, afterwards, you're gonna to have your final submission. So here's the midpoint requirements. So for iOS, you have to just have some working UI. Please make it compile. Your models must be codable, so something that you're planning for integrating with an API, some list, and it doesn't have to be fully implemented. It doesn't have to have networking at all related. All of your models can be hard-coded. And then lastly, you need just at least some form of navigation. So one pushed controller, one presented controller, or a navigation
Yeah, so for Android, you have just these 3 here. You have your Recycle View is present, and then some core functionality of your app is completed, and then 1 out of 3 of the things that you have to have is also completed as well. So
For backend, we're actually not requiring any code for the midpoint submission because we want you guys to have properly defined models and API designs. So we're going to have you at least write all the models and the relationships, right? So if you recall, earlier PAs, there was a lot of headaches with, kind of confusions on how to model relationships. At least 1 relationship. Again, that's just a requirement for the final submission, so we're just going to require that for the midpoint as well. And an explanation of the database and API design. So you guys are going to tell us, or tell your mentors, here's the models I have, and here's the endpoints I'm going to use to access them.
Okay, for design, this is a little bit more fast-paced than what we're used to in DPD. So you'll have your low fidelity sketches, and then we want you to translate those low fidelity sketches into medium fi explorations. So your low fis can be a base one, this is kind of the general user flow of my app. Medium fi explorations is just I explored this different version of something other than in my low fly. And then also some visual design explorations. You don't need to do your UI kit till later. What I recommend is you build your UI kit as you're building your app, if that makes sense. But yeah, start with low fidelity, move into high fidelity, and then do some visual design explorations. You really need the first 2 the most, so that way backend and Android and iOS can start developing as quick as possible.
So again, as I said earlier, final submission, we're just going to be asking, it's just going to be a form with a link to your GitHub repo. You're going to have to make a little demo video, and you're just going to have a little write-up in the README file for your repository. So now we're done with the why not a final exam portion, and we're going to move on to the more exciting things of what can you actually win from this competition.
So how can you guys win? So if you win best backend, meaning like you have like the top backend in the whole competition, you get this Docker plushie.
What?
Docker.
And it's giant, by the way. Like it's like big. Next. If you win best UI, you get some Figma swag. So you get this Figma water bottle. By the way, it's like one for each member of your team. So every member of the team will get this bottle. Okay, so most creative. The most creative app will actually get a limited edition, like hack challenge blanket.
They're so soft. It's amazing.
This was designed by actually the app dev team for those who have the most creative submission. Really try to go out and have fun with your app. And then best overall.
What?
If you guys love listening to Spotify or Apple Music, you guys get to jam out with free speakers.
I want this. How can I submit?
Wait, app dev people can't play right?
Oh yeah. Disclaimer: if there are some app dev people in the competition, they're not allowed to win anything. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. Okay. And then team reveal. Okay, this is probably what a lot of you guys have been waiting for.
Drum roll. Are we doing?
Drum roll, drum
What you wanna do? Yeah, we can do a drum roll. Oops. Alright guys. Okay, so just for like team requirements, there's 4 to 6 people per group.
We hyped this slide.
That was bad. Alright,
So yeah, there's 4 to 6 people per group. There's no more than 3 backend developers. There's also 2 front-end devs and only 1 designer. And then if you're in multiple classes, you'll be a front-end dev. Okay, next slide. Okay, now you can see your teams. So if you go to this link, it starts here. You guys will be able to meet your partners, and that's it.
So should we do like table?
Make sure you join the ed. You know, all our announcements are going to be done through there. If you have any questions or anything, also make sure you reach out through ed, okay?
Also for backend, I know I mentioned there's not going to be code requirements, but it's heavily encouraged that you have code by our midpoint submission. Otherwise, we'll be concerned.
There's confusion. I might have to sign into your Cornell account maybe if you can't get in.